My name is Catherine Phillips and I'm the Children and Young People Public Affairs Officer here at Welsh Women's Aid. What that means is that I get involved in policy and legislation around protecting children and young people from any forms of abuse, and we also work quite a lot with developing legislation that helps to aid in specialist services and support as well for children and young people. Why am I passionate about it? I believe that violence against women and girls absolutely exists in a culture of silence, and that culture of silence is reinforced by gender stereotypes and oppressive gender norms within our society. And I'm hugely passionate about identifying those and challenging those, and empowering everybody as individuals to be able to access their human rights and fulfil their potential based on who they are as opposed to their gender. What are the key priorities for my role? There are two key priorities. First one around prevention. So education is just hugely important in all forms, but especially when tackling violence against women and girls. And the earlier intervention that we do, the better the outcome for children and young people. And that education has to absolutely be anchored around gender equality, respect, identifying what sexual harassment looks like, recognising the need for consent, how to articulate consent, how to feel empowered to be able to have these conversations with each other as peers, as opposed to necessarily partaking in the culture of silence, which can perpetuate abuse. And the second thing is to ensure that children and young people who have experienced any form of abuse, whether that's living in a home where there's domestic abuse or experiencing any kind of sexual harassment or sexual abuse, is that there's specialist support available for them within their own right. So that's what I mean by that is obviously sort of like within the family dynamic, that there's amazing specialist services out there that do fantastic work, but it's making sure that there are absolute advocates that are there to support the child or young person who is experiencing being either party to or privy to any kind of abuse, all the way kind of through their programme or journey, so to speak. So they just have the best possible opportunity and support to identify and deal with and come out the other side. I mentioned earlier about how integral it is in my job to promote the voices of children and young people directly. This is hugely important, both to me personally and within my role in the organisation, because who knows better about what they're experiencing and what they need than me or the people that I'm supposed to be championing and speaking up for. There's so much that I can learn from the children and young people that I speak to. There's so much that they can provide in terms of like identifying areas for activism and advocacy, recognising discrimination, gender inequality, identifying their own stereotypes and norms that they want to challenge. And it's a hugely empowering thing for any of us to be told that we have the right to use our own voices and to speak up and stand up for what we feel we deserve. And that is just